Hello artists, today we will be making oil pastel resist pumpkins using lines and shapes. Start by placing your hand in the middle of your paper, make a small mark above your fingertips and a mark below your hand toward the bottom. Now connect the top and bottom marks with slightly curved lines, creating a large oval shape. Starting toward the top of the oval shape, make another curved line that connects to the bottom of the oval. Make a second curved line, getting even closer to the edge of your paper. I like to trace where I want my pencil to go with my finger first. That way I can visualize my drawing steps before I make them. Continue curved lines on the other side of your oval. Trace with the finger the shape of your pumpkin trunk. Your pumpkin might look different than mine, and that is okay. Now we are going to use oil pastels to draw lines inside the pumpkin sections. I'm challenging myself by making a castle line first. Castle lines are a pattern. You go over a little, then up a little, then over a little, then down, and repeat that pattern. Over a little, up a little, over a little, down. Over a little, up a little, over a little, down. At this point, I'm going to switch colors and switch up the type of line I draw. You can make wavy lines, zigzag lines, bumpy lines, loopy, dotted, or dashed. You can make some spirals, or you can even make up some lines. Now that you've made lines on your pumpkin, it's time to start painting. Today we will be using tempera cake paints and a sponge to wash and dry your brush between colors. Start by getting your brush nice and wet, then swirl your brush gently in the color you want to start with. You'll be sharing these paints with your table partner, so leave them in the muffin tray. You'll notice that the paint can go right over the pastel or crayon and not hurt the lines. This technique is called a resist. When you want to switch colors, make sure that you wash and dry your brush in between. To wash your brush, you need to swish it in the water, wipe it on the side, and then pat dry on the sponge. If you don't wash your brush, then you and your neighbor's paints will become dirty. Get your paintbrush nice and wet, gently swirl in the tempera cake, and complete your pumpkin. The deeper the color, the brighter the color, the more paint you want on your brush. Remember to swish, wipe, and pat dry. Then get your brush wet again for the next color. Again, when you want to switch colors, make sure to swish, wipe, and pat dry on the sponge. Inside of the pumpkin, I used warm colors like yellows, oranges, and reds. For the stem of the pumpkin, I can use a cool color like green or blue. When you are all done, your artwork needs to be carefully picked up to put on the drying rack. You can pick it up by pinching it on both sides. Today we are going to cut out our pumpkins. When we are cutting with scissors, we put our fingers in the big hole on the bottom and our thumbs on top. While we're cutting, we open and shut most of the way. Open and shut most of the way. This is a good trick to keep your cuttings staying on track by not closing the scissors all the way shut, but just most of the way. Another trick is to use your helper hand to turn your artwork. Your hand holding the scissors should stay pointing straight out ahead of you, and your helper hand can turn the paper. Take your time and go slow. Try your best to stay on the outside line of the pumpkin, keeping your scissor hand pointing straight out away from you and shutting your scissors not all the way, but most of the way. Notice that my scissors are still pointing away from me, but my helper hand is turning the paper and moving the pumpkin so my scissors stay on the line, going nice and slow and taking my time. I've cut around the side of the pumpkin and have reached the stem. Here I can remove my scissors and cut down the side of the stem to meet the already cut line in the middle. This is another trick to help make cutting shapes easier. Sometimes you can start on one side, then pause and start on the other side to meet in the middle. I'm going to do that same trick on this side of the stem by cutting along the stem down to the pumpkin, then taking my scissors out, readjusting my paper with my helper hand, and cutting up the side of the pumpkin to meet my cut line in the middle. I'm almost done. I have a little more to go, going nice and slow and taking my time. When I'm all done my cutting, I can carefully hold my scissors and put them away. I can also collect all my scrap papers and take them to the recycling. Have fun, artists! It's time to glue our pumpkins to their backgrounds. Flip your pumpkin over and use your glue stick to glue it to the paper. Flip your pumpkin back over and press firmly onto the blue background. If there are any flyaway edges or corners, make sure to add more glue so they are stuck firmly on. When done with the glue stick, snap the cap, make sure you listen for the click so it doesn't get sick. Pick 3 colors you want to use for the background and put them in a nice stack on top of each other. Then use scissors to cut a few long, thin rectangles from the paper. Now if you take those strips of paper and stack them on top of each other, you can use the scissors to cut a lot of quick and easy little rectangles. Now you will use these little rectangles to decorate our background and make lines that look like a fall wind breezing by. Using your pencil, draw some loose wavy lines or big spiral lines on the blue paper behind your pumpkin. Now trace the pencil lines with your glue stick, one line at a time. Once you have made a line of glue, pick a color for your small rectangles and start to glue those pieces of paper down, following the lines. Fill up your whole background with some fun mosaic tiles. Have fun, artists!